Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Now I've got to be relatively quiet because it is 6:15 and Lydia is still asleep. But in this video I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about pre-race nerves. I've got Lanzarote 70.3 coming up in a few weeks. I know plenty of you will be doing that race as well, but if you're not doing that race, I know a lot of you are going to be racing fairly soon anyway. It's something that everyone's going to have to deal with leading up to race day and on race day, and I'm going to go through a few really helpful tips, things that I've learned, things that I've had to deal with to make sure that I'm benefiting myself on race day and I'm not impacting myself on race day. Before we go into that, like I said, it's 6:15, it's Threshold Thursday, so let's go for a swim. So swim done, 4.7k in total. Yeah, really good set actually. It was an old Javier Gomez set apparently. So main set for the swim was 1600 meters straight as 100 CSS or threshold, 100 easy, first K with paddles, and then the last 600 meters swim. It felt very strange doing a K of paddles and then straight into 600 meter swim. That was not good. And then did a big block of pull and paddles after that. Some drill work. Yeah, feeling really good in the swim. So yeah, felt really nice. And obviously being at David Lloyd's, having the outside pool, lovely sunrise, like you can't get much better than that. Swimming with Brett, having good mates around to train with, like it just makes a massive difference. I'm now gonna tuck into my breakfast, which is overnight oats with some protein and a banana. Normally I'd eat this actually in David Lloyd's in the cafe area, do a bit of work, but they do play music when you're in there, and I don't want to get a copyright claim on the video, so I'm in my car looking like an absolute loser, gonna get some interesting looks from people, but you know what? I don't care. Topic of this video, like I mentioned, it's going to be all about pre-race nerves. And the first thing that I want to mention to you guys is that pre-race nerves are normal and everyone feels them. So I've had it in the past where I've gone to races and I'm on the start line, or I'm the day before you're racking, or you're at briefing, or even, you know, a week or so before the race, a few weeks before the race, you get really nervous and you think, oh, I'm the only person feeling this emotion. And that emotion heightens when you get close to the race, the day before, the day of the race. The important thing to understand, and this is something that has helped me a little bit, is knowing that everyone feels that. Everyone gets nervous regardless of how good they are, regardless of how experienced they are. And if they tell you that they don't, they are completely chatting out of their arse. I can imagine some of the best athletes in the world, they still get nervous. Jan Frodeno, guaranteed he still gets nervous. The Norwegians, guaranteed they still get nervous. Joe Skipper talked about on the podcast once that he still gets really nervous before races. And it's important to know that everyone feels that. And I think once you understand that, and once you know that everyone's in the same boat and everyone's feeling the same emotion, it chills you out a little bit. It makes you realize that actually, it's a level playing field. Everyone's feeling this emotion. How do I make that benefit me? And this is what I'm going to talk about today, because too much nervousness and too many nerves, they can really affect your race. Whereas what we want to do is feel those emotions, marinate in those emotions a little bit, but use them to our benefit and not be destructive on our race day, essentially. So I'm going to tuck into this, then we're going to get home, and then we're going to chat about the rest of the video. Next session up is a 4-hour endurance ride. Just filling up bottles now with this drink mix from PF&H. Really good stuff actually. I'm not that good when I'm training, especially when it's a little bit colder. I'm not very good at eating and making sure that I'm getting in enough. So this drink mix is fantastic for that because you got your sodium and your carbs all in one. Makes life a lot easier. Means you don't need to stuff your pockets full of chocolate bars, which I will be doing as well. But yeah, if anyone's interested, I got discount codes in the description below. So go and check it out, make use of those. So before we do head off on the bike, back to the topic of this video, pre-race nerves. A lot of people, they're going to get very stressed out about racing, and it's almost like a test in school, like an exam. You do all the revision, which is your training, and then you come to your test, your exam, which is your racing. Similar kind of concept here. You actually want to flip your mentality. When I flipped my mentality from racing is the hard bit to racing is the easy bit, that's when I started to really enjoy racing, really look forward to it, really get excited about it. That's not to say I don't get nervous, I still definitely get nervous, but I just know the triggers and I know how to kind of make sure it doesn't get the better of me. And so what you want to mentally think about is training is the hard bit. Racing is the easy bit. You've done all your hard work. Your swim, bike and run sessions, you've got up early, you've stayed up late, you've worked really flipping hard. Racing is the bit where you showcase that to yourself, to others. You showcase your ability, you showcase all the hard work that you've done in your training. That's what racing should be. So flip your mentality from thinking racing is this daunting, really nerve-wracking experience to thinking training is the hard bit. Racing, I'm just showing what I've done in my training. I've done all the hard work. Now it's time to prove it to myself and prove it to others. As soon as I started thinking like that, I started getting a lot more excited about racing, and I started getting definitely less nervous, still nervous, but nervous in the right way, if that makes sense. So anyway, we're going to continue this topic because there's plenty of other things to discuss, but I'm running a bit late. I need to get this bike ride done before I go to the gym later. So let's shoot off on the bike and talk about the rest of this video. 2 hours in, 2 hours to go, sore legs, but the sun is shining, so we cannot complain. It's a beautiful day, and yeah, just one of those days that it's a bit of a slog actually. I'm feeling a bit meh after that swim this morning, but you just got to get through it. It's an aerobic ride, so it's not too much pressure on power and output, although I do want to keep on top of the gears to make sure I get home in time. Back to today's topic of feeling pressure and nerves ahead of race day. Another thing to think about that has really helped me with racing is to control the controllables. You hear people say that a lot. Control the controllables, because if you're worried about things that you can't control, it's just wasted energy. I used to worry about things like going into a race, the weather forecast, and what my competitors are going to do on race day and what training my competitors have done. Ultimately, you have no control over that. It doesn't really matter. And with regards to the weather, that's something like everyone's in the same boat, so it doesn't really matter whatsoever. Or if you're worried about what might happen on race day, like you might get a puncture. Yeah, but you also might not. You shouldn't really worry about that. You can control that to a degree because you could get fresh tyres and reduce the risk. You're not going to 100% completely cancel out the chance of getting a puncture, but you can reduce the risk. And with things like that, you can control that a little bit. And that links to the video that I did with BW, checking over all your equipment, all stuff like that. This is all stuff you can control, so focus on that stuff. Prepare all your equipment, make sure you've got used to your equipment in training. A big thing for me is always getting a new pair of goggles for race day. A pair of goggles that I trust, and a pair of goggles that I know are not going to steam up on race day, because that's a horrible feeling. You're in open water, your goggles fog up, it's horrible. I can control that because I can just buy a new pair of goggles. Everything to, you know, knowing how to put your socks on in transition, something stupid, you can control that. think about the stuff you can control, prepare all of that. If you fail to prepare, you're prepared to fail. Classic saying, love it. And anything that you can't control, don't even waste your time worrying about it. Again, it's a lot easier said than done. However, if you catch yourself worrying about those types of things, just try and nip it in the bud straight away. That's what I do, and it's helped massively. It does come down to experience a lot of the time, but you do it more, you get used to it. So that's another top tip for you. Done and done. 107k, 3 hours 45. So I just finished up the gym session at Body Development with Tom Crudgington. Really good session. I need to get more footage of me really in there, but I always feel bad bringing in a camera because a lot of people are just, they're there to get their session done. They don't want anyone with a camera filming, and I completely understand it. So didn't get any footage of it, but it's really good stuff. Working a lot on balancing, and just working on those smaller muscle groups, and yeah, it's coming together. It's making me feel really good. I'm gonna sink some protein now to get nice, big and strong. Don't know if I can get much stronger. I'm already an absolute specimen. Can't believe I just said that. Before I sink this though, I thought I'd finish off this video with a bit of a kind of last tip really. When it comes to pre-race nerves, just find what works best for you. When it's leading up to a race, you know, is it the fact that on race morning you need to listen to music and you need to shut out everything else that's going on? Is it the opposite? Is it you need other people around you and you need to have a little bit of banter or whatnot? Is it that you don't want anything, you just want to be super quiet, something like that? Find what works well for you. The way you do that is through experience. So the more you race, the more you have these feelings, the more you kind of, like I mentioned earlier, you marinate in these emotions, the more used to it you become, and the more proactive you're able to be to make sure that these feelings aren't destructive, because ultimately during a race or before a race, nerves are always going to be there. That's not a problem. I think nerves are good. It's how you make them serve you instead of you serve them. That's really the goal. If anyone watching this has some specific tips, if there's any of you out there that are thinking, oh, Harry hasn't mentioned this, or this has really worked for me, please do drop it in the comment section below, because I like videos like this where people can share their own experiences, and it may work for you, may not work for you, whatever it is. But I think the more knowledge we put out there and the more experiences we put out there, it's going to help people getting into the sport. It's going to help people that are struggling with different things. So please do comment in the comment section below, engage in discussion, and I really hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Like I said, I've got Lanzarote 70.3 coming up fairly soon, so I'm starting to get a little bit nervous, but also incredibly excited as well. I look forward to seeing as many of you there as possible. And if you're not going to be at Lanzarote 70.3, I'm sure you've got another race planned in the diary pretty soon, so best of luck for that, and I will see you guys in the next video.